All right, let's talk about one of the most incredible building projects in ancient history. We're talking about a gigantic stone wall built by the Roman Empire that literally slices right across the middle of Great Britain.
I mean, just try to picture this. A wall that goes on for 73 miles, coast to coast. You'd be walking for days just to get from one end to the other. And that's exactly what the Romans, under Emperor Hadrian, started building way back in 122 AD. You can bet this wasn't a weekend project. It took thousands of soldiers years to get it done.
Okay, so the big question, right? Why on earth would you build something so massive? Was it just a giant fence? Well, not even close.
Turns out, this wall was a serious multitasker. For starters, it was the official northern border of the Roman Empire. A massive, "You are now leaving Roman territory" sign. But it was also about control. It let the Romans manage who and what came in and out, for trade, and to make sure everyone paid their taxes. And let's be honest, it was also a huge flex, a way for Rome to show everyone just how powerful and organized they really were.
And this quote really nails it. You got to stop thinking of it as just a defensive wall. It was way more like a modern border crossing. You couldn't just hop over it. Nope. You had to go through specific gates where guards would check you out, see what you were carrying, and probably charge you a fee. Super organized.
So how in the world do they build this thing? I mean, the logistics are just mind-blowing. This was Roman engineering at its absolute peak.
Okay, so this was a massive job, and the Roman soldiers were incredibly clever about it. They used whatever materials were right there. Over in the east, where there was plenty of rock, they built a massive stone wall. We're talking up to 15 feet high. But over in the west, not so much stone. So what they built the first version out of chunks of turf and dirt, kind of like giant Lego bricks made of earth. They did eventually replace it with stone, but it just shows how adaptable they were.
And you can't just have a long wall, right? You need to actually control it. So every Roman mile, which is a little shorter than our mile today, they built a small fort called a milecastle. Think of it as a fortified gatehouse with soldiers living right inside, controlling everyone who wanted to pass through.
But wait, there's more. It wasn't just the wall. Just south of it, on the Roman side, they dug this huge ditch called the Vallum. It had these big mounds of earth on both sides. This was basically a big, bold line that screamed military personnel only. It created a secure zone just for the soldiers, keeping everything else out of the way.
So, you have this giant wall, but what was it actually like to live there? For the thousands of people stationed on the absolute edge of the empire, life was, well, it was something else entirely. If you were a Roman soldier, your life was pretty structured. You were probably from somewhere much warmer, and now you're stuck in the cold, rainy British weather. Your day was all about patrolling the top of that wall, standing guard at the gates, and constantly making sure your armor and shield were in perfect condition. But it wasn't all work. They had downtime too, training in the yards, and, this is super Roman, relaxing and socializing at the communal bathhouses. But here's the thing that might surprise you. It wasn't just a military zone packed with soldiers. Not at all. Wherever you find a fort, a whole community starts to grow around it. We're talking families, merchants, blacksmiths, farmers, you name it. And these little towns had a name, a vicus. Picture a busy village popping up right outside the fort gates. It was the ultimate support system. Need your sword fixed? Go see the blacksmith. Want some wine from back home? The traders have got you covered. This is where soldiers' families lived. So this remote military border, it actually became a bustling, diverse place to be. Now just think about the food. Feeding all those people in the middle of nowhere, that is a massive logistical challenge. The absolute staple was grain, for making bread and porridge, and they built special warehouses to keep it dry. They'd also get meat and some local vegetables like beans and cabbage. But getting it all there, that took an incredible network of roads and supply ships. And get this, the Romans basically had their own version of high-speed internet. Seriously. They built signal towers all along the wall. In the daytime, they'd use flags or even shiny metal mirrors to flash signals from one tower to the next. At night, it was all about torches and bonfires. A message could zip from one end of the wall to the other in literally just a few minutes.
Absolutely brilliant.
So for almost 300 years, the wall was the buzzing northern edge of the empire. But as we know, things change. And even for an empire as mighty as Rome, nothing lasts forever. So what happened? Well, the Roman Empire started running into big trouble in other parts of the world. They needed their soldiers elsewhere. So around the year 410 AD, they basically packed up and left Britain for good. And the wall, this incredible symbol of power, was just abandoned. But the story doesn't end there. Today, the wall is like a giant time capsule for archaeologists. They found thousands of things that tell us what life was really like. Old shoes, coins, and my personal favorite, actual letters that people wrote to each other on thin pieces of wood. It's an amazing personal peek into the past.
So when you look at these ruins today, what's the real lesson here? What can a 2,000-year-old wall actually teach us?
Because Hadrian's Wall is so much more than a pile of rocks. Sure, it's a testament to the raw ambition and engineering genius of the Roman Empire, but it's also a window into the real lives of the people on that frontier. It shows us that even on the edge of the known world, people build communities, they trade, they raise families, they create a society. It's a powerful story, written in stone, right across the landscape.